kudos to the New York Giants. We're going to start there with the Giants getting the win.
Florio, just so everybody knows, he tried to be – I was the loud, obnoxious New Yorker yesterday, or New Jersey, either way. But I was. And Florio, he was calm. He sat back. He was just waiting for that moment. He was just waiting for that moment. He was just going to go, I'm going to be calm and not go crazy. And they'll take the lead late in the game, and I'll look over with my, like shit-eating grin that I guess, right? Yeah. And you're gonna look at me and go, "I got you," but it didn't happen.
I was telling James Kaminsky and it was so stressful because the game's going on. We're on the air. I'm getting ready to do a little pop on Lamar Jackson. They go to the 2-minute warning. It's like, what am I going to miss? They're driving down the field. And I was telling JK for a while, this is going to be 32-31. They're going to drive down. They're going to score a touchdown. They're going to go for 2. They're going to get it. They're going to win 32-31 because that just is on brand with everything they've done all season long. That's what made the ending so
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and by the way, as Matt Casey points out, I almost didn't even make it here on Saturday because of a service animal debate that played out in real time at the gate at the Pittsburgh airport. I knew as soon as the woman rolled up in a wheelchair. You know that airport wheelchair that isn't a real wheelchair, and it's kind of like sometimes you see people and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, challenge flag.
Sure.
You want to throw the challenge flag.
I'm not so sure that that's needed.
Right.
But then comes the service dog in her own wheelchair with her basket. And
wow.
It's like, that doesn't really look like a service dog to me. And then I heard the thing bark, and I've been traveling for a long time.
Service dogs usually
don't do that. I've never heard a service dog bark.
Right, they don't bark. Right.
And so as I'm sitting there, and it's a crowded gate, the flight's delayed, the plane from JFK to Pittsburgh that was going to bring us back had de-ice, so it's late for like an hour anyway. And the 2 people from the airline come out, and they have this prolonged debate out among all the passengers about whether this is a legitimate service dog, and the woman's getting loud, and it's just getting awkward.
Wow.
And at one point she says, all these people agree with me, and I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to get subpoenaed to testify in the eventual trial. So then they just kind of back down and let her take the dog on the plane.
Wow.
And I heard the dog barking from, you know how long a walk it is down the jetway, when I could hear the dog barking from inside the plane outside the gate. It's like, well, I know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's another half hour, 45 minutes as they try to get the woman off the plane. I heard her screaming at one point. She was composed by the time they got her off.
Okay, that's
I almost
good.
wasn't here at all. I almost could have missed the whole thing.
Yeah.
I almost got to stay home and not have to deal with you yesterday. If that woman just could have just milked a little bit more out of that issue, maybe I just would have gone home. But anyway.
That's a crazy story. That really is. And, yeah, you were a little late for the 49ers-Seahawks football game.
But I was here in time. Well, no, I wasn't here in time for kickoff.
Yeah, right. You missed just a few minutes, right?
No, I missed like a quarter.
Did you miss that much?
I forgot that.
Either way, good weekend.
I'm trying to forget all of Saturday.
Good weekend.
I'm trying to forget all of Sunday.
Yeah, I know.
And I eventually
forget Saturday. Let's talk about Sunday.
Okay.
Specifically around 4:30-ish. That's the time I was looking to hit on.
Well, and during the game itself, I was playing it back last night in my mind. What was that 3rd and 1 play?
The
It's
reverse.
7-7,
right.
And the Vikings are kind of methodically moving the ball. The Giants are much more easily than methodically moving the ball.
Right,
I mean,
we agreed with that as we were watching.
Jason Garrett turned to me and said, "You guys can't stop anything today."
He went, that looked awful easy.
But what are you doing 3rd and 1, Kevin O'Connell? A great job coaching this year. But what are you doing with this? What are they used to call? I had a basketball coach who would call it French pastry. When you try to get a little too cute,
yeah, sure.
Try to do a little too much.
Right.
You do the reverse to Justin Jefferson, who throws a forward pass back to Kirk Cousins.
Right.
It wasn't even a setup for a long throw
right.
down the
Which
field.
I thought it was at first.
Yeah, and then you give it to Kirk 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage to gain 1 yard. When that happened, I'm like, there's always 5 or 6 moments in a game that you can kind of check and say, that's one that
made it off kilter a little bit.
That's
whatever.
one that started. Say it, don't spray it. That's one that made me feel like, uh-oh. And then it's 14-7.
Right.
They couldn't stop him on the next drive.
Yeah, it went right down the field. You're right. Made it 14-7. That was it. Here's the play as you're watching it. I mean, definitely curious. You're backed up. You're on your own 34-yard line. They're trying, what I think here is in a Wink Martindale defense. They usually play a lot of man-to-man in these type of situations. And I think they were thinking, wait, they'll be aggressive. They'll see Justin Jefferson go, and it'll be man-to-man, and we're kind of a fast, slow defense, and they won't have anybody for man-to-man type coverage. But it wasn't.
2 men there for Kirk Cousins.
They played zone. It's like there wasn't a check with it or they still went with it either way. But you're right. That was one of those little moments to go, okay, wait, there's an extra possession for the Giants. And the way the Vikings defense was playing there early on, yeah, it was a little concerning. I mean, your Vikings defense we know wasn't good, but yesterday there was moments where you're like, man, the Giants look like they're one of the most explosive offenses in football here with the way they were moving up and down the field.
From bend but don't break to break but don't bend is what the Vikings defense was yesterday. The other thing, too, I noticed on the first drive right away, they were coached to get to Justin Jefferson and be physical with him.
Right.
And you don't hear people talk about that anymore, but that's one of the realities. It's been 10 years since the whole Greg Williams the bounty and that audio that came out the night before the Saints played the 49ers, that kind of cartoonish over the top. But somebody got those guys fired up.
Yeah, they made him a marked man.
To make him pay, make him feel it every time he touches the ball. It's one of the things that they don't talk about anymore publicly. But privately, it's still a physical, violent game. It's the way it is, and we're not going to let this guy beat us. I could hear it in my head.
Of course,
we're not going to let him beat. Every time he touches that ball, I want 3 bodies on him. I don't want to be watching this film next week.
He's got to feel us. He's got to feel our presence.
3 bodies on that guy.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's going to. I'm sure that was the mantra to start the week. And it's like that was almost the adjustment from the first matchup where they let Jefferson have a lot of catches, maybe not big explosive plays, but he had 12 for 133 the first matchup. Hawkinson had similar stats to what he had in this matchup. It's where it's almost like the Giants said, all right, you know what? We won't worry as much about Hawkinson, but let's take away the Justin Jefferson part of the offense. And they did a good job of that. They found a way in the first matchup, and it seems like they did again in the second matchup to, help their run defense and have people in there to slow down that aspect and have people at the line of scrimmage. And something we talked about a little bit about the years. The Vikings, great year. The offense is really good. But we talked about a little bit where, their offense, I thought, simple enough at times to where a good defensive coordinator like Wink Martindale could play run defense and kind of figure out how to play the pass off of it a little bit. And I thought they did a good job. But really, ultimately, Mike, I mean, little bit of a microcosm of your year. You played a team, in the Giants who were almost as comfortable as you guys were in a one-score type of football game, right? One of those type of teams. And we got to give credit, to Daniel Jones. That to me was the marquee banner theme of the game. Is Daniel Jones, the guy who's been just under fire from the second he got drafted by the New York Football Giants, goes to a Yankee game, gets booed the first time. He's in town for 2 weeks, all right? So what he did yesterday with his right arm, and I think even you were impressed. I mean, because Daniel Jones, the right arm, the accuracy, the decision-making is all good. But, Mike, he does the thing we talk about, and he's getting better at it, where when the play breaks down, he's become dangerous, right? And I don't know if we really thought that was in him, but, I got to give him credit for the way he played. That was a phenomenal first playoff appearance.
I mean, it looks like a running back rush line here, 17 for 78. Usually with a quarterback, the yards are high, the carries are low. 17 for 78 looks like he was their number 1 running back, and he was their number 1 producer by way of attempts and by way of yardage. And, some were designed, and some were just, hey, nobody's open, and I'm going to do this, run around the edge, and nobody can get me because nobody's there. And they didn't stay home enough. And now, look, there was a play where Eric Kendricks kind of got caught between, what do I do?
Yeah, right.
Do I wait for Jones? And the guy he was covering got more open.
Exactly.
So that's
they put him in a bind.
Conundrum you get into when you have a mobile quarterback. And I think they knew this was coming. They had to know it was coming. It's Brian Daboll, the guy who had Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And what we always talk about, Josh Allen gets unleashed as a runner in the postseason. I'm surprised they didn't run him more from the standpoint of yardage. I'm surprised there wasn't more big opportunities, but it was more methodical, and it worked. And, between 300 passing yards, 78 rushing yards, he's the first quarterback ever. And sometimes these specific statistics are way too nailed down.
First guy to do that at 4:35 on a Sunday on the month of January.
70-plus rushing yards, 300-plus passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, first time ever. And that is, it's like hitting a slot machine, but still, that's impressive.
Yeah, I don't care what day that is.
For a guy who's working his way toward a new contract.
Right.
And I still, it was so weird that they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. I'm sure in hindsight, if they'd known he was going to play like this, they would have.
Right.
Gives him a little more control and flexibility to negotiate a contract without that deadline coming up. But I think they've seen more than enough.
It's in the bag. It's coming. It's. I know enough people in this situation to know that I think the Daniel Jones contract, it is inevitable. It's coming down the pipeline. You've heard me tell you that really for more than a week or so. And I think with the 5th-year option, hey. It all worked out for the best, I think, for him and for the organization and everybody. Hey, new coaching staff. He didn't want to be tied to that. He's got to do his own evaluation. Brian Daboll did that. And, hey, I mean, after Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll is the guy that deserves the most credit, but he deserves, of course, a ton of credit for what he's done to Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, I mean, our big knock was him. He's like the Statue of Liberty. He stands in the pocket too long, right? It's too many fumbles. And Brian Daboll brought that part out of him. Like, hey, man, you could play backyard football. Look at you. And that's, to me, one of the surprising things that you were bringing up there. I thought the Giants would maybe dive into the quarterback design run even a little bit more than they did as well, right? And they had a few plays, but I was shocked at some of you heard us talk in the game, the pass rush attack by the Vikings, where they kind of they went after him. Like they didn't have any respect for the fact that he could scramble and make plays that way. And it cost them in a number of big moments where he lost or got out of contain or found lanes because they rushed by him. And he did a great job just throwing the football and running like he's done all year. But, man, they're getting more explosive in the passing game, making them more dangerous.
There was one play in particular where the left end for the Vikings was working his way around the tackle, and Jones just went, and the guy he didn't even know.
No idea.
Didn't even know he was gone.
Right.
Here's Brian Daboll, head coach of the Giants, on the performance of Daniel Jones in his first playoff win, also a playoff victory.
Play good.
That's good.
Yeah, play good. Winning football. Isn't good a good adjective to use?
Good.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm not a writer. I'm just a coach. So, look, Daniel's, I've said it all year, he's been good for us. He continues to be good for us, and he played a good game. And I think there's a lot of other people that play good games, too, to help him play a good game. He'll be the first to admit it. But as the leader of our football team, I'm proud of him.
Like Andy Bernard, food critic, this muffin tastes bad.
Yeah.
That painting is.
There he is.
There he is. Uh-oh.
There he is.
Uh-oh. He's got
the
the duns. He's got the
G-Man.
You're supposed to take the shirt off, though. Take the pads, the jersey, everything off.
You don't like it to Kirk Cousins today, huh? You like it to Denny
We'll talk about him
Dimes.
in a minute. We'll talk about him in a minute. I got to tell you a Daboll story. Daboll was PFT Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
And deserved it.
Right.
Because we didn't expect anything
No.
from this team.
No.
Got a patchwork of receivers, a bunch of no-names, guys that can't make it anywhere else. They end up, I said last week, it's the bizarro Frank Sinatra, New York, New York. If you can't make it anywhere else, you can make it here. I mean, it's ridiculous what they've done. Isaiah Hodgins, had 105 receiving yards. So we started a tradition accidentally last year with our Coach of the Year. I told Mike Vrabel he was Coach of the Year, and he said, what do I get? I said,
Did it again, huh?
I said, you get a canned ham. He said, well, I like honey baked. I thought, well, yeah, crap. So I sent him one.
Right.
So Daboll gets it.
He looks like he likes honey
well,
ham.
and I said, look, and I know he likes a nice cigar after a win. I said, look, I'll let you choose. Do you want a ham?
Right.
We started this tradition last year. Do you want a ham or do you want cigars? He said, as enticing as the ham may be, I'll take the cigars.
Right.
So the box is already on the way.
Good. I hope you got him a good brand and did it right.
No, I got him El Producto.
Well, I don't know.
I got him,
I
wrapped
don't know.
in plastic.
You might have been mad at the guy. You might have been like, "Damn, you beat my Vikings. Here's some crappy gas station cigars."
Let me be completely honest. No backwoods coming for Daniel Jones, and no sponsorship for backwoods coming for PFT. But
they could sponsor me.
I made sure, because you use the wrappers. I made sure. I know all about that. I made sure that I ordered them before the game started. Because I figured
you might go.
I figured I might be tempted to go El Producto, or the old exploding cigars from the cartoons.
Right.
I would have been tempted to go in a different direction. So I said, let me do my gesture.
Way to go!
The game
Way
started.
to self-scout thy asshole of thyself right there.
Yeah.
I mean, to know that might switch you.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
So he's got a nice box of cigars coming tomorrow.
Yeah, well, he's very much deserved. I mean, him or Shanahan, Coach of the Year for sure, right? I mean, it's one of those two. At least
now
in my
Shanahan would have
opinion.
wanted backwards.
Yeah, he might have wanted backwards. You're right. But that's.
We're kidding, Kyle. Calm down.
Brian Daboll is like what he's done is just you can't say enough about it. The way he's coached this football team. The way he's handled the New York media. the way even right there. Handling the New York media, understanding that Daniel Jones is going to hear these clips later. Other guys are on the team. Like, yeah, good. Isn't a good adjective? I'm not a good writer. It's a little bit of the Belichick Parcells school of coaching there to me a little, except like in a jollier way of, yeah, he's going to recognize he played well, but he's not going to go over the top. He still wants the general to be the general tomorrow and go, hey, we got a big game this week. So, yeah, he played good. But I think in his heart, he loves Daniel Jones, and I don't know how he couldn't. It's like all the things we said. I think they always loved everything about Daniel Jones. Now they're starting to love what he's doing on the football field, and this is the last piece of the puzzle, and it's exciting times for the Giants and Giants fans.
And he's been there enough to know the reality of it. And I was thinking about this on the way in today.
Right.
Losing in the wild card round for a fan and for a player. I remember Steve Young talking about this years ago. It hurts so much more the later the loss comes. So wild card round, okay. Divisional round, conference championship, you got the Super Bowl right in your grasp. They're ripping your heart out. Lose the Super Bowl, you're always identified as the runner-up. It's so. And Daboll's trying to keep me even keeled. And, who knows? Who knows what this team can do? It's one game at a time.
They got belief.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
For sure.
Dangerous to go for the Eagles on the road and face Philly, a team that knows them, a team that's not intimidated by them.
Eagles haven't played a whole lot lately. Maybe catch them kind of sleeping and feeling themselves. We're the number 1 seed. We've seen this happen before, right, where the team like the Giants comes in and they've kind of know that playoff intensity, and the team that's had a little time off gets caught off guard. We'll see. We'll see. Again, the Eagles are a phenomenal football team. The Giants are a team that does believe. They're coached well. They do the right things. They don't have the same talent as the Philadelphia Eagles, but as we've seen, coaching, the right game plan, quarterback plays that way, defense makes a play or two. We know in this league it's crazy, and just about anybody can stay close when you play it the right way.
There's been a little bit of a wobble to the Eagles lately.
There has been a little bit.
They were dominant, almost wire to wire.
Right.
Jalen Hurts gets a shoulder injury. They lose to the Cowboys. Jalen comes back. They didn't look spectacular against a Giants team that was playing the JVs.
Yeah.
So we'll see how healthy he is. That's the Saturday night game. And I was saying last night, we do the video in the third quarter. It just, anytime there's an NFC East playoff game, it takes me back to the early 70s. Before you were even born.
Yeah.
It was always the big CBS late afternoon game. It was an NFC East game. They played it on that artificial turf.
Right.
It was Giants, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Washington. The Cardinals were in that division. Yes, kids.
And they were on AstroTurf, too.
And everybody was on AstroTurf, except for Washington.
Right.
But those were always just kind of special vibe. Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire. It just takes me back to that. So that should be. It kind of lines up well. Eagles, Giants, especially if the Cowboys should win tonight.
Right.
Cowboys, 49ers, too. Oh, my
gosh.
They
got 4
what a couple of
NFC
great NFC
powers
Oh,
there.
yes,
Yeah, right.
yes. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.